with all due respect, I think they're doing something different. I think that, otherwise it would have been probably a concept record. And I think that, during this time, that was probably the furthest thing from their minds.
Brent, you're just mentioning it is cold in Canada right now.
It's super cold. It's like being in Sudbury again.
What was it like in Sudbury? Was it cold up there?
It was very cold. It wasn't uncommon for it to be like minus 24 at any time.
Ugh.
And I used to walk
like midsummer, minus 24.
Yeah, minus 24 in August. No, I used to when I was in high school, I used to play basketball on the team, and we had practices before school started. And I lived probably 3 blocks from the school. And so at 6 a.m. in like January, I would walk from my house to, the school. But there was no one around, obviously. It was 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. And it was, pitch black and like minus 25. And it was just like
booger freezing weather.
Felt like you were the only person on the planet. It was very strange. Ugh. Yeah, and your eyes would actually freeze shut. What? Because the moisture in your eyes, like your eyelashes would actually close, and
you could feel it. You could feel it, eh?
You'd have to put your fingers on your eyes, and they'd pop open. Yeah, Sudbury. Can we? Can I just ask you a question before we get started?
Go for it.
What happened to your hat?
I know. I didn't know if you noticed that I didn't have a hat on.
That is a great salad you've got there. I love it.
Thanks. Yeah, not a bad lid.
No, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, thanks. I cut my own hair.
You do?
I do it myself now. Yeah.
How do you do that? With a Flowbee?
No, I have a trimmer. I have my grandfather's trimmer.
Come on.
And man. I do the sides, and then everything is scissors up top.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Yeah.
So how do you know? Like,
I don't.
So you just
I just give her. I just put on a number 3.
Okay.
And I just go.
That part's easy.
So it's not too close. Yeah. And then up top, like you just keep chopping. You know what the thing is, man? You don't go. What is that? Parallel? You don't go straight across.
I have no idea.
You cut down. You always cut, like, you don't want to, because if you cut across, right, then you get the hard edge. You want to cut up, and it gives you texture. It gives you a couple different types of lengths. It's all good.
We've got a couple of different types of lengths there. I can see.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not good. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's not good. This guy right here, not good. But hey, I'll take it. Beats a $30 haircut every. Well, I would get one every like 6 months. So
6 months
doesn't really matter.
Treat yourself.
Treat myself. So. But hey, thanks for noticing. It was first episode 21. Never had a hat on. So
maybe you should start wearing a hat again.
First, now you're just.
This record is, I believe, Heart's 5th album. It came out in 1980. It's my favorite Heart record. I thought it would be a good transition from Led Zeppelin into Heart. There's a lot of Zepp esque moments in this record. I think. I don't know if you heard them or not. We'll get into that in a minute. But I've always liked the record. It's not for everybody. I will admit that right now. And I took a chance, kind of putting this one to you because. You're a millennial, and this is very much an acquired taste. And you know what? I was listening to this record a little while ago, and I was thinking about when you listen to an album like this, you really kind of have to put yourself in the mindset of, when it was recorded and what was happening kind of around that time. They were Zeppelin fans. They were clearly Beatles fans. But so much had not been done yet because it's a 1980 record. And when people think about Heart, they think about, What About Love and Alone and the 80s, because that's when Heart was almost like Aerosmith, right? For some people, they know 80s Aerosmith and they don't know 70s Aerosmith. But this is 70s Heart, even though it came out in 80, it was recorded in 79. But it's a good record for me. I don't know, we're going to find out if it was a good record for you in a second here.
Well, I have to say, like, it's got to be tough trying to put out an album at the beginning of a new decade. Like, when you're trying to, not only were they transitioning from not having Roger Fisher as the guitar player, is that?
But you know what?
Who it was?
The band. It's funny because the band started, and it was a bunch of dudes. So the two women who are the stars of the show, Ann and Nancy Wilson, were not even in the band. Nancy Wilson, the band started in 1967. It was called the Army, and it was Roger Fisher and a bunch of other guys. There was like 5 guys in the band, no women. And Nancy Wilson joined in 1974. So 7 years later, she joined the band. And like a lot of people don't know that, they think Heart is the 2 women, and maybe Denny.
That's all that comes to mind for me, for sure.
Well, yeah. But that the band for a long, long time was 5 dudes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no, I had no idea. I had no idea. I'm just hearing the first time I've ever listened to a Heart album. Like, I think the only Heart, when I think Alone, but Barracuda, I think, was the only other song by Heart that really I remember. Or Magic Man as well is another. It's a good one, but I couldn't help but think about how difficult it must be to try and put out a project, to put out an album, put out anything at the beginning of a new decade when you know that, like, music is ruled by decades.
Every shift from decade to decade is a tricky one, yes, but this was the trickiest. Maybe the 90s was too, but think about all the bands in the 70s that thrived, that saw the 80s coming and thought, oh, what am I going to do now? And think Kiss, think Hall & Oates, were a blue-eyed soul band. Think about Alice Cooper, REO Speedwagon, Cheap Trick. Heart was a big one. They thrived. They succeeded. Aerosmith.
Yeah.
But like it's fascinating to me to think about all the 70s bands that did well, that were known, staring down the 80s and going, shit, like, I don't know if we're going to make it.
I feel like the Eagles were another one of those bands too, where, like, looking through the 70s, getting to the 80s, and obviously you see the breakup of the band and Henley and Fry going their separate ways, but really also then getting into that 80s sound.
Yeah.
So,
and Joe Walsh a little bit. But those guys thrived, I would say. Henley thrived, Fry thrived. But guys like Timothy B. Schmidt were left behind, right?
Totally.
And that's my favorite Eagles song, by the way. I can't tell you why. The only song he ever wrote for that band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You ever hear it?
I don't think I know that song.
Fantastic song. Sung in a falsetto. Just beautiful. You got to listen to it. Heart thrived. Heart was one of those bands that thrived, which is great. They had 2 great, they did well in the 70s. They did well in the 80s.
Can you talk to me about why this one is your favorite album of theirs?
I think it's got a great vibe. It's a pure rock record for me. It came out at a great time. 1980 was an excellent time for rock. You think about Back in Black came out at this time, and all the great bands, Billy Squier, Cheap Trick, like, rock was thriving. It was really healthy. You can hear Zeppelin in this record. You can hear the Beatles influence in this record. It's expansive. There's piano stuff. Like, do you want to go through the songs? Do you don't know the songs very well, though, probably. How many times do you listen to this record? Like 1?
One really good, like, I can't even call it. No, I listened to it a couple times. I kind of, I've gone through the songs. So Bebe Le Strange, we'll start there. It was cool, but it just feels a little, I don't know. I don't know. It's a cool opening riff, and then it just kind of I'm so bad with words on this one, because it doesn't make me feels weird.
Really? What?
Yeah.
I wonder why it makes you feel weird. Like, what's weird about it? And maybe if I describe it, it'll kind of help you to verbalize what you're thinking. So in this is one of my favorite songs from the record. And the reason why is because it's got like a great groove, right? It's kind of like this steady kind of pulsing beat, but then it's got that Kashmir riff in the verses. If you listen in the, it's kind of, it's back in the mix, but you can hear almost the Kashmir riff.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's climbing, right? And so then on top of that, they kind of lifted that. I think they would probably admit it, but the tempo changes and it goes into kind of this tricky chorus, and it's really cool. Like, it's awesome, and it just gives me the impression that they're very confident they know what they're doing. And sometimes when you listen to albums, you think like these people just don't know what they're doing. Like, this is not a confident output. But when I heard this record, it was kind of sassy and slick, and I thought, like, I really like this.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting to, like, again, I don't know if it's like following them or understanding more of their history and then having a listen to it, that might have an influence as well. And I think this being the first time I put a Heart album on, I like the verse. It's the chorus that kind of is like, it's just weird. I don't know. There's just something about it that I'm like, not into it.
No, I get that. And I knew that I was, I didn't think you were going to like this record. I remember thinking about, I thought that it would be a good transition, from Zeppelin to this, just because you can hear some Zepp in it. They're big kind of Zepp, fans, the girls are. But I knew that it was going to be a weird one for you. I knew you were going to listen to it. So,
if I had the record and I accidentally started side B, I think I'd be a lot more into this album.
So Even It Up is side 2, right?
And Even It Up would be exactly.
That was I think that was the only top 40 hit from this record.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think.
See, and then there we go. There goes Alex Huard again on this show. Pop goes the Huard.
See, for me, like, that song is okay, but it's not compelling to me. It doesn't interest me.
You know what is compelling? Down on Me.
Yeah.
Okay. Down on Me. This is a really good song.
Good. Okay. That's the second song
I really
on the record.
enjoyed this as number 2. Yeah. This was just the way that it moves. Like, you could feel like this emotion in the singing. There's a lot within this song that feels actually very Zeppelin-y as well to me because of the mood and the guitar of it. And I mean, again, like, Ann Wilson's voice is just great.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
Great interlude in that song. Great guitar intro, like really kind of soulful and authentic. And you can hear they lift it again, in my opinion, from the Beatles. There's a song called I Want You, and it's like this kind of staccato kind of picking pattern. And it's in Down on Me. So a little Beatles influence there too.
So yeah, no, this was a really actually enjoyable second song. Again, I'm going to bring back our favorite word, sequencing. Not a big fan of the sequencing on the album.
Me either.
It's okay, good. Yeah, it's pretty horribly sequenced.
It is.
But I like this song. I don't necessarily think it should be number 2, but this is a really, really good song on the album.
I don't mind that position. I don't mind this song being the second one. I don't like the next song being where it is. Silver Wheels.
Yeah, Silver Wheels
is an instrumental in the number 3 slot. I just think that's kind of like, I think for casual listeners, you might lose them on that. They might just kind of, turn the record off. It's a weird spot for an instrumental.
I think the reason why it kind of works is because it comes out of Down on Me and gets into Break. And I just think that it might have been a transition piece, because they're pretty well known to have these kinds of instrumentals on their albums, right? So they kind of wanted to bring that back. and then maybe they felt it was a good transition or a bridge between this and Break, even though Break is just a god awful track. Just like probably the second, if not, second worst song on the album.
I know. I don't really. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. Silver Wheels would have been a good 5th song to finish side A.
Yep. I agree.
But I think maybe that's where they're going with it, because I did feel a little bit like it was a bit of a movie. Like, again, so like coming into this album, was it Anne or Nancy that broke up with Roger Fisher, right? They were together and then they split.
Nancy started dating Roger, I believe. No,
okay.
yes,
and then,
it was Nancy. It was Nancy.
It was Nancy,
and
right?
Anne was with Roger's brother, Mike, and she actually followed him. They were American in Seattle, and Mike Fisher, I think Roger's brother, was a draft dodger, and he I think the story goes actually that they came to his house to conscript him, and he slipped out the back door or the window and escaped to Canada, and he was recognized as a draft dodger. But Ann Wilson went with him. She followed him to Canada. Nancy also did, and the whole band kind of relocated to Vancouver, and that's why people think that Hart is Canadian, but they actually are Seattle natives.
Interesting.
Yep.
Wow. Cool. I'm sure a lot of people don't like him for dodging the draft, but I mean, if you're American, I'm sure as an American you probably think, oh, you should have fought in the war. But what do I know? So I feel so with that, I guess I gotta feel a little bit more like this is a little bit like a movie at times. I feel like in listening to Bebe Le Strange, part of me felt like maybe she was singing about him, being the guitar player, and this so I feel like maybe they had to start the album out with that song,
right,
to sort of sing about her relationship with him or whatever, and how that kind of thing. And then Down on Me is kind of like the heartbreak and this kind of like this recognizing of like lost love or something like that, and things that didn't go right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Silver Wheels kind of like concludes that. I know it's only the third song, it kind of concludes this.
Yeah.
And then you get into Break, and Break is like, I'm breaking free, I'm getting out of this mess, and then and that kind of is gonna like continue from there. But that was sort of like a little bit of a feeling I got too listening to this. It was almost like a little cinematic in this sort of story they were telling. So
I think it's very interesting that you see it that way, because I think that you also did that with Led Zeppelin 1, right? So you were going on the names of the songs and saying, okay, so your time is going to come, and it's communication breakdown. So and you're making this
I can't quit you, baby, like
wordle of all of the song titles.
Yeah, that was song titles. This is actually like
song themes.
Themes.
Well, I with all due respect, I think they're doing something different. I think that otherwise it would have been probably a concept record, and I think that during this time that was probably the furthest thing from their minds. Yeah. Just because it's like I like the idea, but I think they were just kind of writing songs and throwing them out there.
I like the idea, Alex. Write that down. You go think about doing something like that. Well, there was one thing. I felt like this album was it's very disconnected. Like, I feel like they kind of were just jamming, and whatever they jammed, they decided to write or to record or something, and then they put it on an album.
That's a good point. And I think it would be very easy to make the case if they were just kind of throwing stuff at the wall, right? Because there's a lot of different styles on this record. You think about the last song, Sweet Darling, is just like this kind of very, saccharine ballad. I like it. It's not schmaltzy. It's
the second best song on the album.
Is it really? In your opinion? Are you joking?
Yeah. No, in my opinion, yeah, it is.
For real? You think that?
Sweet Darling, song number 2.
No way. Okay, I want to talk more about that. I'm very interested in that. But like, there's a lot of what's that other on side 2, there's a song that's kind of like it's almost like it starts with the piano, Raised on You. And
It's a great song.
it's almost like Queen meets ABBA, where you think it's like an ABBA song, and it sounds a little bit like Queen. Right?
Totally.
But that's the thing, is that there's this huge wide span of kind of musical styles. And, you know, it would be
Even
easy
with
to
Even
make-
It Up, man. Even It Up. They got trumpets. Like,
Yes.
they got horns. Like, it's,
the Tower of Power.
it's really all over. Is that what they were called?
Yeah.
The Tower of Power?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And Break is like, you know, proto-punk, right? It's I don't like the song myself.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing there. So
Yeah.
it's there's a wide span.
Do you think were they trying to maybe like predict what the 80s were going to be? Were they trying to like just put kind of an array of sounds to see maybe what would stick for an upcoming decade? Is that a possibility?
I think what was happening was they were watching other, like every band was watching every other band and scenes, right? It was all about scenes and emerging scenes. So think about what was going on in New York City at that time. CBGB's in New York, Television, Blondie,
Right.
you know, even Elvis Costello, like that proto-punk thing was going on. The Police, right?
Talking Heads.
Right? Yes. So they were probably, it was like a little kind of nod to that thing that was going on at the exact same time. What else is on that? Oh, so the first song, or the last song rather, on side 1, Rockin' Heaven Down. The outro to that song, you know, the fade, like it'll just, the chorus will just repeat and then the band plays it out and it fades out, right? If you listen, the end starts in that song just before the 3-minute mark. So from 3 minutes to like 5:52, I think it is the outro. That goes on for 3 minutes.
Yeah, because then it's just Anne just kind of like howling, and you know, is it the real heartbreak here?
Yeah, but it works. Like it doesn't get annoying. You know, it's kind of funny, and I would love to know whose idea that was.
Yeah, it's like, would you call Rockin' Heaven Down an anthem? Would you call it a bit of an anthem, like for that last closeout part?
I don't know if it's anthemic. It's a great song. It's a good, legitimate rock song. And that's what I liked about this era, is that it's got that sound. Like it sounds, you know, like it was recorded in 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And that's what I love about this whole record, to be honest with you.
You know, like I'm a big fan of the sound of albums, so like I like to listen for that. I wasn't a big fan of how this all sounded and how it was all, it all came together. Yeah. Sometimes it felt a little disconnected, vocals and instruments, and yeah, I don't know. Sometimes like the drums and the keys felt a little cheap, but yeah,
Wow.
I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you think of the guitar sound?
It was good at times. I feel like the tone in Down on Me was fantastic. The acoustic in Silver Wheels sounds awesome. Rockin' Heaven Down was good. Even It Up is my favorite song because of just how poppy and catchy it is. But even still, it doesn't sound that great. The horns sound the best on this song, but it's not. Everything else around it's not great.
How about Strange Night?
Weird.
Really?
Not big into this one. This was like, it felt like a musical. It felt like a song that could have been like used in a musical, and I don't like musicals.
It's not extraordinary by any stretch, but I was kind of referring more to the guitar sound, because I think that when the guitar comes in the beginning, it's kind of it sounds good. It doesn't sound as good as it could sound, but it does have a nice it's got a nice thick tone. Okay, I want to talk to you about the last 2 songs on this record.
Okay, well, let's just say "Raised on You" is a great song. I just wanted to say this because I'm a big fan of "Raised on You." Keys, everything, the groove, a lot of fun.
Okay.
Really like this one. Last 2 songs though, if you want to move on.
No. Okay, sorry. So I think there's 10 tunes on this record.
10
we probably
songs,
covered most of them, right? And I think we talked about every one,
Yep.
except well, I want to hear what you have to say about the last one, but the 9th song. And this flies in the face of my theory. Oh, you hate Pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, it flies in the face of your theory. Okay, sorry.
I love Pilot.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like, love it.
Wow.
It's like a little bit of like 70s AM radio, right? It's very kind of just comes in, it's very soothing. And then Ann Wilson's voice is perfect. You know, it's just like, it's like velvet. It just, oh man, I can't say enough about it.
You know, it's
Second favorite song on the record for me.
Really, I'm like,
I love that we have such divergent views on this. This is
too.
like really cool.
I'm like, Pilot is a true number 9. Like that's what I was
Really?
thinking when I listened to him. That is a perfect spot.
Man, it's just,
Pilot
it's
or
not
Break. Break could have been number 9 as well.
Break shouldn't have made the record.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, you know what? It doesn't even deserve to be at number 9. That's for sure. Pilot is, see, I mean, I think I get it. I think I get the song and it living where it does. It's starting to wind the album down. I get it.
Yes. Yeah.
Again, it's
Love it.
yeah.
But you think about, see again, like you have to think about the time. Think about 70s AM radio. Think about the Carpenters. It's got that kind of Joni Mitchell, Steely Dan, Carole King vibe. It's very relaxing. And maybe it doesn't belong on this record. You could make a case for that. But I do like it.
I feel
I actually like that you hate it.
I feel the relaxation of the song.
Mm-hmm.
But I just this is a song
It's
that
okay.
there was a song I would like, maybe my dad would put on and I'd be like, turn it, Dad. You know?
That's so
he'd be
true.
like, no, Pilot, you gotta listen, you gotta feel it. I'd be like, no, turn it. It was cool. It was cool to listen to. You know, I went and listened to some of the old Heart stuff, and honestly, I feel like this would probably be my favorite Heart album as well.
Oh,
just in terms of like the rock and roll-ness of it. It just doesn't. The other stuff didn't feel like when I was listening to it wasn't too like the way this was put together. So
it's folky, right?
yeah, I like folky, but it feels a little too like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I guess because I don't know what to expect from Heart. So
True.
when I went back and listened to that, and I thought about songs like Magic Band and Barracuda, I was like, oh, like maybe there's just more of these songs, and I hadn't really been discovering that. So yeah. So when I think about it, after I've tried to like go back and listen and maybe find some things, this really has been like, and likely is going to be like my favorite record of theirs.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying kind of, though, it's almost like the best of the worst for you.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not great. But it's, yeah, exactly. Best of the worst. Yeah.
I do like this record a lot. But you know what? And again, as with Deep Purple Burn, I'm glad that you were true to your position. So it's important that you're honest about it.
Nice. Right on, dude. Well,
right.
Do we have another album lined up for next week, or
No, we don't.
No, we don't. We'll get back.
We don't.
We'll get back to you. We'll just pay attention to the socials.
Yeah, I've a number of them in mind.
Nice.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm excited. I'm excited to listen to something.
Oh, dude, there's so much to go through still. So much.
Bring it on.
All right, it's coming. It's coming.
Let's do it. All right, man.
All right.
Well,
cheers, Fireball.
Fireball's done.
Where is it?
Fireball's.
Oh, it's
base
done.
is done. It's all done, man. Like I had nothing of anything. Drinking water.
Wow. Oh.
I know.